Liv Morgan makes her explosive return to WWE and attacks Raquel Rodriguez for her betrayal. Shocking. This is unbelievable, and if you're not absolutely furious right now, then you clearly missed the most brutal and most personal attack in recent WWE history. Liv Morgan just returned from injury and destroyed Raquel Rodriguez in a vicious assault that left Raquel unconscious, bleeding, and hospitalized, and the worst part is that Raquel deserved every single second of pain she received after what she did to Liv. If you think this was excessive, if you think Liv went too far, then you don't understand the level of betrayal that Raquel committed, and you need to watch this entire video because what I'm about to expose will make you realize that Liv's revenge was justified and maybe even too merciful. Comment right now if you think Liv Morgan is 100% justified in her attack on Raquel Rodriguez, because what went down on Raw is already being called the most intense revenge storyline in women's wrestling history. This isn't just about a wrestling rivalry, this is about trust being shattered, about friendship being weaponized, and about Liv Morgan showing the entire WWE Universe that when you cross her, when you betray her, there are consequences that will haunt you forever. The carnage we witnessed was just the beginning. Let me take you back to the moment that started this entire war, because without understanding the depth of Raquel's betrayal, you can't fully appreciate why Liv's return and attack was so emotionally charged and so viciously personal. 3 months ago, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were inseparable. They were tag team partners, they were best friends, they had each other's backs through every battle, every challenge, every moment of adversity. They won the women's tag team championships together. They celebrated victories together. They posted on social media about their unbreakable bond and their ride-or-die friendship. Liv trusted Raquel with everything: her career, her safety in the ring, her reputation, and most importantly, her heart. In wrestling and in life, that kind of trust is sacred. And Raquel took that sacred trust and destroyed it in the most cruel and calculated way imaginable. It happened during a championship match where Liv and Raquel were defending their tag titles. They were in control, working together like a well-oiled machine, on the verge of retaining their championships and continuing their dominant reign. And then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. Raquel turned around and hit Liv with her finisher, a devastating Tejana bomb that sent Liv crashing to the mat in shock and agony. Here's a trivia question for the real fans: how many times has Liv Morgan won championships in WWE across all brands? Drop your answer in the comments. The look on Liv's face in that moment was heartbreaking. It wasn't just physical pain from the move, it was the emotional devastation of realizing that her best friend, her partner, her sister had just betrayed her in the worst possible moment. Liv lay there on the mat, looking up at Raquel with tears in her eyes, mouthing why? Why? But Raquel didn't answer. She didn't explain. She just stood over Liv with a cold, emotionless expression and walked out of the ring, leaving Liv broken and vulnerable. The opponents capitalized on Raquel's betrayal, pinning Liv and taking the championships. But losing the titles was nothing compared to losing her friend. In the weeks that followed, Raquel never apologized, never explained, never showed a hint of remorse. Instead, she went on interviews saying that Liv was holding her back, that she was tired of being in Liv's shadow, and that betraying Liv was the best decision of her career. Those words cut deeper than any physical attack ever could. Raquel basically said that their entire friendship was a lie, that every moment they shared was meaningless, that Liv's trust and loyalty were worthless. For someone like Liv, who wears her heart on her sleeve, who gives everything to the people she loves, who believed in Raquel, hearing that their friendship meant nothing was devastating. The betrayal caused Liv to spiral. She became reckless in matches, taking unnecessary risks because the emotional pain was overwhelming the physical pain. She stopped smiling, stopped engaging with fans the way she used to, stopped being the vibrant, energetic Liv Morgan that everyone loved. And then, during a match where she was clearly not mentally present, Liv suffered a legitimate shoulder injury that required surgery and months of rehabilitation. Raquel's response to Liv's injury? She tweeted, "That's what happens when you can't handle wrestling at my level," with a shrugging emoji. The cruelty of that tweet, the complete lack of empathy or humanity, turned Raquel into one of the most hated performers in WWE. Fans were calling for her to be punished, to be fired, to face consequences for not just the betrayal but for mocking Liv's injury. Drop a comment and tell me, is Raquel Rodriguez the most despicable heel in WWE right now, or can you think of someone worse? Let me know. But WWE didn't punish Raquel. Instead, they rewarded her. She was given singles opportunities, championship matches, prominent spots on programming. She was presented as someone who made the tough decision to put her career first and was thriving without the dead weight. Every success Raquel had felt like another knife in Liv's back, another reminder that betrayal and cruelty were being celebrated while loyalty and friendship were punished. During Liv's 3-month absence, Raquel built herself up as an unstoppable force. She ran through opponent after opponent. She cut promos about how she was finally free and how getting rid of Liv Morgan was the smartest thing I ever did. She even started calling herself the Liberated One, a direct shot at Liv's ring name and a mocking reference to being liberated from their friendship. Every week, fans on social media were asking, "Where is Liv? When is Liv coming back? When will Raquel pay for what she did?" The anticipation was building to an unbearable level. The WWE Universe wanted justice. They wanted to see Raquel face consequences for her actions. They wanted to see Liv Morgan get her revenge. And last night on Raw, they got exactly what they wanted, and it was more brutal, more personal, and more satisfying than anyone could have imagined. The scene was set perfectly. Raquel Rodriguez was in the ring after defeating another opponent, standing tall and arrogant, microphone in hand, cutting a promo about how she was on top of the women's division and how nobody could stop her ascent. She mentioned Liv Morgan mockingly, saying, "I heard Liv's shoulder finally healed. Too bad her career is still broken. Too bad she doesn't have the guts to come back and face me." That was the mistake. That was the moment when Raquel's arrogance became her downfall. Because the second those words left her mouth, the arena went dark. Complete blackout. And then Liv Morgan's music hit, except it wasn't her normal upbeat entrance theme, it was a dark, remixed version that sent chills down everyone's spine. Quick question, what is Liv Morgan's finishing move called? Real fans will know this instantly. When the lights came back on, Liv Morgan was standing at the top of the ramp, and the look on her face was terrifying. This wasn't the smiling, energetic Liv Morgan that fans remembered. This was someone who had spent 3 months in physical and emotional agony, someone who had been broken by betrayal, someone who had transformed that pain into pure rage. Her eyes were locked on Raquel with an intensity that made it clear this wasn't about a wrestling match or a championship or professional competition. This was personal. Liv didn't run to the ring. She stalked down that ramp slowly, methodically, like a predator who had finally cornered her prey. Raquel's confidence evaporated instantly. You could see the fear creeping into her expression, the realization that she was about to face consequences for everything she'd done. She started backing up in the ring, looking for an escape route, but there was nowhere to run. When Liv finally reached the ring, she didn't slide under the ropes, she leaped onto the apron and climbed through the ropes with a deliberate, almost ritualistic intensity. Raquel tried to plead with her, holding up her hands, saying something that the cameras didn't pick up clearly but appeared to be, "Wait, let's talk about this." But talking time was over. The time for words had passed the moment Raquel betrayed Liv 3 months ago. What happened next was an assault. Not a match, not a segment, an actual assault that security and referees had to eventually stop. Liv tackled Raquel to the mat and started throwing vicious strikes, not worked punches for television but real strikes that connected with full force. You could hear the impact echoing through the arena. Raquel was trying to defend herself, but Liv was operating on a level of intensity and aggression that was unstoppable. Liv dragged Raquel to the corner and started stomping her, not traditional wrestling stomps but legitimately trying to inflict maximum pain and damage. She grabbed Raquel by the hair and screamed in her face, words that weren't picked up by microphones but were clearly something like, "You destroyed me. You destroyed me." The raw emotion in Liv's voice, the tears streaming down her face while she was attacking Raquel, made it clear this wasn't performance, this was catharsis. Security rushed the ring, trying to pull Liv off Raquel, but Liv fought them off like a woman possessed. She threw security guards aside, broke free from their holds, and went right back to attacking Raquel. It took 6 security personnel to finally restrain Liv and drag her out of the ring. And even then, Liv was screaming at Raquel, struggling to break free, clearly wanting to inflict more damage. Tell me in the comments, did Liv Morgan show restraint by only attacking Raquel this much, or should she have done even more damage? What do you think would be appropriate revenge? The visual of Raquel lying in that ring, holding her ribs, blood trickling from a cut above her eye, gasping for air, was powerful. This was a woman who had spent 3 months being arrogant and cruel, who had mocked someone's injury and celebrated destroying a friendship, finally facing the consequences of her actions. And based on the crowd's reaction, a deafening roar of approval for Liv, the WWE Universe had zero sympathy for Raquel's suffering. Medical personnel rushed to check on Raquel while Liv was being forcibly escorted backstage. The cameras followed both women, Raquel being examined in the ring, clearly in legitimate distress, and Liv backstage, finally breaking down emotionally once she was away from cameras, the adrenaline wearing off and the full weight of what she'd just done hitting her. You could see Liv sobbing, her hands shaking, the years of pain and betrayal finally released but leaving her emotionally drained. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Reports started coming in that Raquel had suffered bruised ribs, a possible concussion, and required several stitches for the cut above her eye. She was taken to a local medical facility for further evaluation. WWE released a statement saying they were reviewing the incident and would take appropriate action regarding Liv's attack. But here's where public opinion becomes fascinating and divided. A significant portion of the WWE Universe is saying that Liv was 100% justified, that Raquel got exactly what she deserved, and that WWE should not punish Liv for defending her honor and getting revenge on someone who betrayed her. They're pointing out that in wrestling, revenge storylines are celebrated, and that punishing Liv would send the message that you should just accept betrayal without fighting back. The other faction is arguing that regardless of the storyline justification, Liv crossed lines by making the attack look so real and legitimately injuring Raquel. They're saying there's a difference between a worked wrestling attack and what appeared to be genuine violence, and that WWE has to maintain some standards about what's acceptable even in the context of emotional revenge storylines. What's your take? Should WWE punish Liv Morgan for the attack, reward her for delivering incredible television, or do nothing and let this play out naturally? Sound off below. Behind the scenes, the reaction has been intense. Other female wrestlers are reportedly divided on how they feel about what happened. Some are supporting Liv completely, saying that Raquel's betrayal and subsequent mockery justified an extreme response. Others are concerned that if this level of violence becomes accepted, it could lead to increasingly dangerous situations where the line between performance and reality becomes too blurred. Male wrestlers have also weighed in, with many pointing out that men have done similar or more violent revenge attacks without facing serious consequences, and that holding Liv to a different standard would be hypocritical. They're citing examples of brutal beatdowns, parking lot attacks, and violent confrontations that were praised as great television when men did them. WWE management is reportedly in emergency meetings trying to figure out how to handle this situation. Do they punish Liv and risk fan backlash? Do they embrace the storyline and build toward an even more intense confrontation between Liv and Raquel? Do they try to cool things down and redirect both women into different programs? There's no easy answer because every option has significant pros and cons. The social media reaction has been explosive. #LivMorganRevenge has been trending worldwide. Video clips of the attack have gotten millions of views across platforms. Fan art depicting Liv as an avenging angel and Raquel as a villain getting her comeuppance has flooded wrestling communities. The engagement and conversation around this storyline is off the charts. But there's also concern from some corners about the message this sends. Does celebrating violent revenge normalize unhealthy responses to betrayal? Does it suggest that physical violence is an appropriate way to handle emotional pain? These are legitimate questions that WWE has to consider, especially as they try to position themselves as a mainstream entertainment brand suitable for all audiences. Here's a spicy question: if the roles were reversed and Raquel had attacked Liv this brutally, would the fan reaction be different? Would we be calling Raquel a monster, or would we still celebrate the revenge? Let me know your honest thoughts. The storytelling possibilities moving forward are endless and exciting. Does Raquel seek revenge for the revenge, creating an escalating war between these two former friends? Does Liv face consequences from management that make her a sympathetic babyface fighting against authority? Does Raquel use this attack to paint herself as a victim and try to win back fan support? Every direction WWE could go with this has potential for compelling television. The match that inevitably has to happen between Liv and Raquel is going to be massive. After this attack, after months of build-up, after all the emotional investment from fans, when these two finally have a sanctioned match, it's going to feel huge. Whether it's at a premium live event or on television, Liv vs. Raquel with this history behind it is going to deliver on every level. The character development for Liv Morgan is fascinating. She's essentially transformed from the upbeat, optimistic underdog into a darker, more intense character who's been hardened by betrayal. This evolution feels earned because we watched the betrayal happen, we saw Liv's pain, we witnessed her absence, and now we're seeing her emerge as someone fundamentally changed by her experiences. That's compelling character work that creates long-term investment. Raquel Rodriguez's character is at a crossroads. Does she continue being an arrogant heel who dismisses Liv's attack and claims she can handle anything Liv dishes out? Does she show vulnerability and fear, making her more human and potentially sympathetic? Does she acknowledge that maybe her actions did warrant this response, creating moral complexity? How WWE books Raquel's response will determine whether this storyline maintains its heat or fizzles out. The women's division as a whole benefits from this storyline because it shows that WWE is willing to give female performers the time, the platform, and the creative freedom to tell complex, emotionally resonant stories. This isn't a bathroom break segment or a quick match, this is a major storyline that's getting attention and resources and respect. That elevates everyone in the division. One more trivia question: in what year did Liv Morgan make her main roster debut on WWE? Show me you know your Liv Morgan history. International markets are reacting strongly to this storyline. In some countries, the revenge narrative is being celebrated as justice served. In others, there's discomfort with the level of violence and questions about whether this is appropriate content. Wrestling plays differently in different cultural contexts, and WWE has to navigate that complexity as a global company. The merchandise opportunities are massive. Imagine shirts with quotes from Liv about revenge and betrayal. Imagine Raquel shirts playing into her villain role. Imagine collectibles depicting this moment. WWE could generate significant revenue from this storyline if they capitalize on the fan engagement properly. The long-term implications for both women's careers are significant. Liv has established herself as someone who can carry intense, emotional storylines and deliver when the moment demands it. Raquel has proven she can generate genuine heat and make people feel something, even if what they're feeling is hatred for her character. Both women have elevated their stock tremendously through this program. The comparison to historical wrestling revenge storylines is inevitable. Is this the women's division's version of Stone Cold vs. Mr. McMahon? Is it their CM Punk vs. Jeff Hardy? Is it their Shawn Michaels vs. Chris Jericho? Where does Liv vs. Raquel rank among the greatest revenge feuds in wrestling history? Time will tell, but the early returns suggest this could be legendary. The psychological realism of this storyline is what makes it so compelling. Everyone has experienced betrayal in some form. Everyone has felt the pain of trusting someone who broke that trust. Everyone has fantasized about confronting the people who hurt them. Liv's attack on Raquel taps into those universal human experiences and emotions, making it relatable beyond just wrestling fans. What would you do if your best friend betrayed you the way Raquel betrayed Liv? Would you seek revenge, or would you walk away? Let me know in the comments. The business metrics are going to be crucial. Does this storyline drive increased viewership? Does it boost social media engagement? Does it sell tickets to live events? Does it generate mainstream media coverage? These are the questions WWE executives are asking, and if the answer to most of them is yes, then we'll see more storylines with this level of emotional intensity and realism. The potential for this storyline to go wrong is significant. If WWE doesn't pay it off properly, if they drop it prematurely, if they don't give fans the satisfying conclusion they're craving, the backlash will be severe. Fan expectations are sky high right now, and meeting those expectations requires careful booking and commitment to seeing the story through to its natural conclusion. The role of social media in amplifying this storyline cannot be overstated. Clips, reactions, commentary, memes, all of it has kept this story in the conversation constantly. Wrestling in the social media age requires different strategies, and Liv vs. Raquel is a masterclass in how to use social platforms to build and maintain interest in a program. The comparison to other current WWE storylines is interesting. Where does Liv vs. Raquel rank in terms of heat and fan investment compared to the Bloodline drama, compared to Cody's story, compared to other major programs? It's arguably top 3 in terms of emotional investment and fan engagement, which is a huge accomplishment for a women's division storyline. Now I want to hear from you, the wrestling newsletter family, about everything we just covered. Tell me in the comments. Was Liv Morgan's attack justified, or did she go too far? Do you want to see Liv and Raquel in a street fight, Hell in a Cell, or regular match? Should WWE punish Liv or celebrate her for this attack? Who do you want to see win when they finally have their match? What's the most satisfying revenge storyline you've ever seen in wrestling? Smash that like button if your team Liv and think she was 100% justified. Destroy that like button if you think this was incredible television regardless of where you stand. We need maximum engagement on this video. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter if you haven't already, because we're covering every development in this Liv vs. Raquel saga. From the eventual match to the fallout to whatever comes next, we'll have all the analysis and coverage. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know, because Liv Morgan's return and attack on Raquel Rodriguez is the most talked about moment in wrestling right now. Everyone needs to see this breakdown and understand the full story. Liv Morgan is back. Raquel Rodriguez is broken. The revenge has been served brutally. And the war between these former friends is only just beginning. This is going to be the women's division storyline of the year, and we're going to be here covering every explosive second of it. The Liv Morgan Revenge Tour has started, and wrestling will never be the same.